We will, at 6 o'clock, we will call the committee of the whole to order. The clerk would please call the attendance.
Mr. Hupkey. Mr. Jones.
Here.
Mr. March.
Here.
Mr. Bowden.
Here.
Mr. Hack.
Here.
Mr. Forsythe.
And in your packets, you have the minutes of the June 24th, 2015 Committee of the Whole. Are there any additions or corrections? If not, a motion to accept as written.
Motion. Second.
Motion by trustee Hack, seconded by trustee Jones.
Mr. Hack.
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. March.
Present.
Mr. Bowden.
Yes.
And Mr. Cross.
Yes. On the agenda, we have Kirsten Steves here to talk to us tonight about proposed ordinances for the village to declare historical buildings, the Will County Fairgrounds Exhibit Building and the Connor Shaw Building.
Thank you. Thank you for putting me on the agenda today. What I think you already all have a copy of the intermodal agreements, and I just want to explain a couple things. I'm on the Will County Historic Preservation Commission, have been so for a number of years. And as you know, we already have one county landmark in the village, which is the old mill. And my colleague Ann Manning Nagel is also here, and she's also a fellow commissioner of mine. She's worked pretty hard and has already landmarked a property or two. In any event, this is a procedure that basically goes before our commission first when something is nominated, when it's outside the village limits, and then it goes to land use, Will County Land Use, and then it goes before a county board. But when a property is located in the village, before we can even bring it to our commission, we need to get an intermodal agreement signed, which are the agreements that you were previously tendered. The two buildings that I've been really interested in landmarking for some time, and I know it brought this up to the previous administration, are the Will County Fair Exhibit Building, which is, kind of the gem, the centerpiece of the Will County Fairgrounds, and also the Connor Shaw Center, which served as the first school in Peotone and is historic on so many levels. So what we're asking really is for you to execute these intermodal agreements, which we will then bring back to our commission, and it'll allow us to go forward at the Will County Historical Preservation Commission level. Again, it just follows the practices and procedures that we normally go through. If anyone has any thing for or against it, it'll be set for public hearing. Adjacent landowners will be notified, just like any other property that would be nominated outside the village. So that's what we're looking
Have
for
you
today.
talked to the school district and the board?
I have not approached the school district about that. I did mention it to Steve Stein when I first started this process. I know he was all for it. As far as the Will County Fair Board, I did bring that up to have the secretary put it on their agenda a couple of years ago. Didn't sound like it really went anywhere. I did have a subsequent discussion with one of the board members who just indicated that they were, just kind of blasé about it basically, and indicated that they were concerned about then they couldn't change anything or repair anything, and I said that's absolutely not true. And in fact, I have a couple, I'm sorry, I only have 3 copies of this, but it's kind of busting the myths about historical preservation. There's a lot of myths. People think, oh, we can't sell it, we can't tear it down, we can't really need to get permission to tear it down. But, I mean, to put on a new roof, I know the Round Barn in Manhattan had to get a new roof put on last year. We just want to be informed, to know what kind of roof's going on, is it the same thing? So there's a lot of myths about it, but if anyone, as I think everyone has moved to Peotone or stayed in Peotone for a reason because of this idyllic way of life, the more things we have on the Will County Historic Preservation, as landmarks, the better chance we have of preventing things like the Ilion Expressway and all that, things from kind of disrupting our way of life. When the Iliana was looking at those 2 different proposed routes, what they had to do was basically get information from our commission about what are the landmarks, what are the potential landmarks, and look at our surveys and to see what historic properties we have there. So if any of you are at all interested in kind of preserving the way of life we have here, the more things we can landmark within the village, outside our village limits, the better chance we have of kind of preventing these major disruptions to our lives.
For for something to be landmarked, does the owner have to agree to that?
No, and I think that's addressed in the document that I'm passing around. Obviously, we like having the owner's blessing, but it's not essential.
Can I also interject too? Sure. The other thing, my name's Anne Marie Manning Noggle. The other thing I'd like to interject, and some things that you may not be aware of, whatever gets landmarked gets onto a website, and it is put out there to anyone who looks up the landmarks that are in the state of Illinois and in Will County. It also showcases Peotone. So there is potential that we can link it onto your Village of Peotone website so that they can actually see what else is out there for them to look at. And it actually is a good tool, a working tool for you to showcase the other values you have here in Peotone. I actually have one I'm working on one with the town of Moni for the creamery. I'm working on that landmark right now. So it's actually gone to board. I'm waiting for their approval on that one.
And again, I think I want to stress that if somebody's for or against this, the appropriate time for them to kind of voice their opinion would be at the hearing stage. We're just trying to get to the nomination stage at this point by getting those intermodal agreements. So at the hearing stage, then if people were for or against it, then they would have that opportunity to be heard in a formal setting.
Is there any reason why anybody would be against it? Is there any downside at all to landowners of the community?
I think it's only an upside. I mean, I can just speak for myself and growing up in the community and what those two buildings personally mean to me. And I don't think there's a downside at all. I think it's a great thing. I don't know why, you wouldn't take great pride in being the owner or, just having that in the community. And I do think we need something besides the old mill. We've got a lot of really important historic homes in this community too that would be eligible. So I'm hoping that between Ann and I, now that we have two Peotone residents on the board, we can really sort of get things going in that regard and get some additional landmarks. Because the possibilities are limitless. If they qualify, we could have 20 to 40 landmarks in this town easily, so.
They're also looking at possibly down the road, nothing's been set in stone about possibly even outside of village limits of maybe waivering the fee in order to do an upgrade or do something, if you had to do anything with your property, but that's.
Yeah, I thought the county did generally waive like permit fees, like when
Right.
the round barn needed to be re-roofed
Exactly.
and like if the fair building or anything. Like, well, I know that's local, so it would
But
probably,
it's still,
they'd have to get a
we've been
building
trying
permit
to,
from here.
in order
but-
to, protect it and that, they have been trying to, waive those fees, so there would be something tacked on for the landowner.
Who's the head of the Will County Historic Department now?
Sandy Velasco.
Yeah, our chairman is Sandy Vasco.
Oh, from
who's,
Wilmington.
Wilmington, yeah. Everyone knows Sandy. She's a wealth of information, really neat person.
Kirsten, I think it's a fantastic idea, and I'm not opposed to it. My one concern, I guess, if you word it that way, is it'd be nice to have the blessing of the school and the fairgrounds before we approve it, I think.
We're gonna try to address them too as well. I mean, we're gonna try to get on their board, address the board. Try.
Well, my position is I didn't go there with the school board, but we did make a couple attempts with the fair board previously and not really gotten anywhere. And again, I guess my position is this is a preliminary step to get the nomination forms executed, okay? Again, getting their blessing would be at the public hearing stage. So if you feel like you need to do that before moving forward, I think we have that, I don't know. Then you have to do what you need to do. But sometimes getting things done in a timely manner means we just press forward.
Right. Well, I think, personally, I kind of agree with Kevin. I mean, I would feel probably better if, I would be willing to do it, to reach out to the fair board, president and to the school board president and say, this has been brought to us, we're looking at, doing this necessary paperwork for this nomination, to happen. Do you have any strong opposition to it? If you do, you're still, at this point in time, you're going to be able to testify at the hearing or whatever. But I think instead of it seeming like us going around them, I would rather go directly to them and address that. And if they tell me, hey, no, we don't have any problem, we'll put it on our agenda and move it forward.
Okay, yeah, I think coming from that, you as village president, that would probably be the most logical way of getting it done.
It might be beneficial too, because if they had the attitude that if they put it on the Historical Society and they can't make any changes, if that's what they were thinking
I
in the
think that's
past,
their idea too.
it gives all of us a chance to explain to them that that's not the way it's gonna work. You can still, because I know they have a lot of plans for that building. So that might be what they're afraid of. So it might give us a chance to
I'll
open
give you
that line
a
of
good example is,
communication.
now the creamery is owned by the village. Okay, and I'm not sure what the Will County Bureau of Farm Buildings,
So
but I
you mean
know
the Moni Creamery?
the Moni Creamery is owned by the village of Moni. So they have to be, it all has to be ADA compliance, it has to have, proper entrance. They can do all that. We're not stopping them from doing that in order to have it landmarked.
What if the owner of the building came to the hearing and objected to having it done? What happens then?
I think that's really up to the majority vote of the board. I can't think, I've been on the commission five years now, and I don't recall that ever happening. I mean, we have had occasions where people have been pro or con, and,
Discussions.
yeah, discussions, but I don't know that we've ever had anybody adamantly opposed.
But would that stop it then?
I mean,
Depending on the
it-
vote.
Again, if we're talking about these two properties, my vote, it wouldn't stop it, because, again, I think it's different when you're looking at an individual owner versus a corporation, as I understand it, owns the fair building, and then I guess the school kind of belongs to the taxpayers. So I guess I view these two differently, so I don't know that the objection would carry as much weight as if they were owned by an individual. I mean, that's my personal feeling. But again, I would, kind of want to get the feel for the board and the community, and maybe I speak for the whole community, but I think everyone would really like to see these, what I consider gems of the town, preserved.
And I don't have any problem with that, but I just, my concern is the same as trustee Hack's, the perception of us going around somebody, I don't want that perception to be there. And I would rather,
I agree. I think, just going to talk to them and saying, hey, this has come up, what do you think? And I think it's a great idea, but I just don't want it, to be in the Vedette Village, proclaims fairgrounds.
Right.
So.
And again, it's not, you wouldn't even be,
No.
you're just making it
No,
eligible
I
for us to
understand.
do
No,
nominations,
exactly.
super
I
preliminary,
understand, but-
so, right.
Just the perception.
Yeah.
The perception's reality.
Yeah.
Yep, well,
Do you
we
have-
know that.
Yeah, good question. In particular, my understanding is, once you're, especially, you're not talking about a federal debt designation, you're talking about a county.
Not federal, just it'd be county.
County. My understanding is, as long as the outside remains similar to it,
Mhm.
the inside could be changed dramatically.
Exactly. It can be changed whatever way it wants to be.
Because we ran that with the mill, and
Mhm.
that was what they told us,
Right.
because I went there once.
The inside can be done whichever way you want. It's, the outside is basically what they're looking for.
And it can be different material on the outside, it's the looks. that
It's
are-
the looks, it has to be presented to similar to what it looked like from the original.
Does it have to go back to where it was at the original, or is it frozen in time now?
Well, we've had a couple of both. As a matter of fact, remember the article, the last film we had? We had some slides that somebody had brought up where there was a siding, aluminum siding on there, and the current owner actually pulled it off and had the wood cladding on it, and actually painted it to go back to it. I mean, so a lot of times this could be up to the individual owner, but you can, if you look at the requirements is what they're looking for to keep it at, it usually goes back to the time it was built, is what they're looking for. The time when the building was built is what they're looking for, you to keep it at that type of appearance.
Or as it is existing.
Existing,
like
right.
in these cases, so.
Right, exactly.
Right, so.
Which really, the fair building hasn't changed much, other than painted a few times. It still looks the same as it was back in from the,
But that
100
doesn't
years ago.
preclude them from aluminum siding or
Nope.
re-roofing with.
No, or make it
roofing
any kind of
material or-
compliances.
Right.
Right, they can do basically what they want.
Well, let's proceed that way. Let me
Okay.
make contact.
Sounds good.
And then I'll get back in contact
Right,
with you.
great, and if
then
you
we'll-
need me to speak with them,
Sure.
accompany you, just let me know.
Okay,
Okay,
absolutely.
all
Yep.
right, thanks, I
We gotta get
appreciate your
both of
time.
us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any other public comment? If you do, if you step up to the mic and,
Hello, my name is Tim Thompson, 403 Garfield. Let's see if I can take up more time so you can use up the space. For the most part, I want to emphasize to the community that we don't want to try to make Peotone the cheapest community to build in. I'm basically alluding to the discount for impact fees. I would rather make our community a place that the people want to go to and spend the money, extra money we have on bike paths, swimming pools, something that would bring people to be have pride in the community versus saying we're the cheapest community that you can build to. I want to emphasize that. And I also want to emphasize, I'm just kind of scattergun of things, emphasize the fact that I really believe that we need to make the train station somehow convince them to stop downtown. I know every time I bring this up, it says it's not going to happen. Well, that's like saying we don't want something to happen in Peotone, we just give it up. We need to emphasize, we need to make the train station downtown so that we can make downtown a destination point, so we can maybe revive it. On the side of that, we need to somehow figure out what we want to do, and it's not Tim Thompson, it's, for the most part, your job. But how do you make Peotone a destination spot? Do you want to make it a biker destination spot? Do you want to make it an antique mall destination spot? Do you want to see if you can't bring a microbrewery to make it like a bistro destination spot? If you can't, downtown is in bad shape. All right, the alternative, which I don't think anybody's ever floated, is you can make downtown a 55 and older community. Because we got a lot of buildings downtown that if you said, hey, let's just give up, because I don't believe in spending millions of dollars on sidewalks and improvements will actually bring downtown back. You have to have an economic engine that brings it back. So if you make it a 55 and older community where people are required to take away the downtown look and put a proper entrance and everything else, that might be another approach. I'm not saying that's what has to be done, I'm just floating it out there. The other thing that I'm floating out there, and this is, I don't know how other communities have done it, is required minimum construction. For instance, when you sell a place, you have to upgrade, you have to have the railings, you have to have the paint, there can't be any flaking paint and everything else like that. Some communities have it. I don't know whether that works well or doesn't work well, but maybe that's something that we need to do as well in this community. So I'm floating all these ideas out there for you.
and just to address a couple of the things that you said, the whole idea behind the impact fees, the waiving of the impact fees, was on the existing buildable lots. It's not necessarily looking for cheap housing, it's a way to stimulate residential growth on these existing lots. There are design standards in place in all of the new subdivisions that are going to be platted from this point forward, and a couple of the ones that are already platted, such as Meyer Glen and, was it the next one of the West Gates, I believe, are all subject to design standards that were put in place by the village in 2007. And so there's specific design standards that they have to follow to build a home. And those were done specifically so we don't have the cookie cutter housing, coming to Peotone. We don't want that production builder, putting up 50 of the same house in a row. And that's all been addressed already.
But what I'm just saying is, let's say that dollar amount that we basically discounted to the buyers of the new home amounts to $50,000.
It doesn't. No, it's about 12. It's about 12.
It's only going to amount to 12,000, I'm just saying. What I'm saying is,
Less than that.
maybe, doing something such as, promoting concerts in the parks on a regular basis.
Oh, I agree. There's a
Something
lot
like
of-
that to make Peotone a destination
No,
spot.
absolutely.
Because unless you do that, you might as well just give up on downtown and then maybe choose the 55 and older type of community. You need to do, we as a community need to do something, and it needs to be well thought out of. Just me spitting out something, I haven't thought it out well enough to know exactly what the community wants to do. But, I mean, that's your job, that's why you got hired.
Thank you, Tim. Do you have something?
Yes. Hi, I'm Jan Lefferman. I live in Gull Landing here in Peotone, and I live on Pelican Lane. And I don't even know if this is the place I would bring this out or not. However, if you're familiar with the streets in there at all, Oriole Drive comes off of Peotone Wilmington Road, past McDonald's, goes down. There's like a horseshoe and you come back. When you go down Oriole, you make the horseshoe. There's no signage that says now you're on Pelican.
Okay.
And vice versa. If you come across Teal and go down Pelican, there's no signage that says you're entering Oriole. So if you're trying to direct people to your house, I tell them, come down Oriole, never mind, it says Oriole. When you're round the bend, that's where I live.
Okay.
So it's just confusing, and
Are
I think
the
some
new-
kind of signage.
Are the new street signs out, are the blue street signs out in your area?
Yes, I believe they are.
Yeah.
Because we're in the process of replacing
There is-
street, that was just a question.
Okay.
So, we'll talk to,
I'll check with Bob.
yeah, we'll talk to the Public Works. and
Because I
have
don't know
them
if you
look
need
at
a
that.
sign maybe like in a V, or if you
Okay.
need entering and, leaving, entering, whatever.
No, we'll certainly have them take a look at it.
Yeah,
See if that can be addressed.
okay, thank you.
No problem, thank you.
Thanks for allowing me to speak.
Oh, no, thanks for coming in. Anyone else? Okay. If not, I think we're going to go into a quick closed session here. So I would need a motion to go into closed session the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employees of the public body.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion by trustee March, seconded by trustee Hack.
Mr. March?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Mr. Bowden?
Yes.
Mr. Kemp?
Yes.
And we will be back shortly. It's 7 o'clock. We will call the regular village board meeting of July 27, 2015 to order. If everyone would rise to say the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.